All right, hopefully the lighting is okay in here. It feels dark in this room, but it's really hot outside, so I kind of got the windows closed and got well, I did have the fan on, but it was making a lot of noise. There's no AC here. Anyway, accountability check-in. I went for a run yesterday, applied for some jobs today. Things are a lot better than when I first started, particularly thanks to you guys for helping me out and being part of my journey. Let's get into this video, which is going to be about my Tokido interview, my first ever Tokido interview, where he initially actually rejected my advances. But let's just have a quick look through here, just so I don't miss anything. So EVO 2016, I think I was mainly just enjoying EVO in 2016, although I did a couple of interviews. I think I bumped into Sacco at an ice cream shop in Vegas, if I remember correctly, and he was with his wife and this guy who I think was his manager at Hori. And this guy just said in the end that he would be the translator, because if I remember correctly, we lined up a time and they said, you need to find a translator. And that's one of the most difficult parts. It was all the admin involved in trying to get these things to actually happen, and also trying to find a translator who's going to do it for free and be there on time and all that stuff, right? This was the early days of me trying to figure that stuff out. And I didn't really have like a name for myself, a strong name for myself, and I didn't really have the ins with all of these people. Whereas later on, I was able to contact them more directly and everything started to smooth out, which was nice. But I texted him and I said, look, it's not going to happen because I can't find a translator. And then they said, this guy would do it. So he did, which was great. And then also I talked to Pierre Balrog because, you know, he was, at this time, he was certainly still seen as one of the best players in America. I think this was when he when Balrog got released, this is when he sort of came back a little bit in terms of, you know, the scene, having played Balrog in Street Fighter 4, now Balrog was in Street Fighter 5, and this was a recurring theme throughout Street Fighter 5, is that when certain characters returned, like Ibuki, it was interesting to know what the players who were synonymous with those characters would be doing, would be deciding to do, and what did they think of the new iteration of that character. And hence, I think I remember thinking, yes, I got Sacco and because of Ibuki, and yes, I got PR Balrog because of Balrog, because I think they both got released around the same time. I might be slightly wrong, as you know, my memory's a bit dusty, but it is what it is. And PR Balrog is always fantastic. Anyway, going past a bunch of other stuff, there was some Udon stuff that I did. Of course, L.I. Joe, always up for an interview and always incredibly entertaining and valuable. Alucard. And then there was this event down not far from me in Brooklyn called Brooklyn Beatdown, which was part of ESL, which I forget what that stands for, but they had other esports going on there as well. And the following year, I actually got hired by them, which was great. But that year, I was just a guy who went along and took my camera with me and asked people if they were interested in doing an interview. Now, Tokido, I'd met him once before. I don't know if he remembered me because of the previous interview. He wasn't super keen on... There's a few things with Tokido, like basically, because he was like the one who knew English, even though actually a bunch of them knew English, but just didn't let on. He was the one that, you know, everybody wanted to interview, I suppose. He was the one that often got picked on, and he just wanted to focus, a lot of the time he just wanted to focus on his fighting. And I went up to him and I said, look, Tokido, I'd really like to interview you. And he was like, I don't know about that. And he said, how long? And I sort of lied. Well, I let's say lie, but I said 10 minutes. And he went, too long. And it was basically like, no. But I had this piece of paper with all my questions on it, and I had basic questions for everybody else that I bumped into. But I knew Tokido was going to be there, and I was really wanting to talk to Tokido, and I had a special section. So I said to him, look at this. I have a special section on you specifically, and these questions are for you. And I actually cannot remember whether this interview was a good one or not. I have no idea. But it was a special interview to me because it was with my favorite fighter. And, once I showed him the questions, he read them through and he said, okay, yeah, let's do it. So I was like, great. So we went off to the side of this is the side of, it's next to a wall. We tried to get out of people's way. Went to the side of wherever, an area where it was a bit more quiet and we could talk. And, by this time I had my lighting sorted. And I then said to him, well, listen, how long do we have? And he said, we have as long as you want. So, I don't know, I guess like basically the questions, this is how I remember it anyway, the questions, or perhaps the fact that I had come specifically for him, something made him change his mind. And I think that was an important lesson for me is sort of, there are a few things in the process. One of the things I like to do was show the questions to the person, the interviewee, before the interview, because I'd much rather them have time to think about their answers than put them on the spot. I've been interviewed before, and I'm rubbish as an interviewee. Like you just say the first thing that comes to mind because you think, Christ, we can't have dead air. It can't be nothing. Depends on the personality, of course, but I think it's good to send them. For me, it felt quite good to be able to send them questions in advance, so they have a little time to think about it before we got down. And so in the end, Tokido was cool, and I got the chance to interview Infiltration yet again, which was great. And Phenom was wonderful. I remember Phenom was very honest and outspoken at the time. What you'll notice as time goes by is that eventually Capcom become like much more controlling, and in particular have a say on all of these individuals on whether they will be allowed to compete, earn money, get blacklisted or not blacklisted, etc., etc. I remember getting to a point where players would say to me, certain players, not all players, but certain players would say to me off screen, I can't say what I really want to say, which sucked. But like in these early days, you didn't get that. We haven't even gotten to the Bonchan interview yet, and that's going to be great, obviously. And then LPN, again, Street Fighter 5, like he was like one of the guys who was really like progressing the scene really early on. He was like so in 100% Street Fighter 5. I remember seeing really early footage from him. And then there's a bunch of stuff. Oh, okay. Akuma, Capcom Cup 2016. Well, maybe we'll come on to that in the next video, but I think there's another interview coming up, which is another one of my favorites. The fact that I'm actually doing a Q&A here means that I must have reached a certain level of people following me. And there you have it. Look, Punk. There's my first ever Punk interview, which I was really proud of because I was the first person. Well, I wasn't the first person to ever interview him because he had a short interview live on stream. But I was the first person to sit down with him and in a more relaxed environment. And I remember thinking very carefully about what those questions would be for Punk. And I was super excited about getting the exclusive But anyway, listen guys, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for engaging with the video. It's really important. Liking, commenting, subscribing, and then of course, those of you who sent donations just have blown me away. Thank you so much. We are sort of like, I feel like I'm almost there in terms of actually being able to fulfill my duties this month in terms of rent and paying off my credit card. They're not very exciting things, sorry, but every donation you make has made and it doesn't matter what it is, it makes a huge difference to me. But also I just, you know, like, just, it doesn't, just everything, the whole reaction to me just coming back and saying hello, this is my life, has been very heartwarming. So from your responses, I love hearing from you. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.